So copyright is going to protect the creative guts of something. So it's going to protect the contents of a book, an ebook, an online course, a podcast, a YouTube channel, social media content, photos, illustrations. All of those things can be protected via copyright. And you get some automatic rights just by creating it, right? Just by sending it out into the world. And that's what we get under US law. But you get some really good enforcement rights, some some better enforcement rights by actually registering the copyright.
But no, I feel like if they took one thing out of this episode, if you simply had the right footer stuff, which you can like get directly from Brittany, and you have the terms and conditions at checkout so you can defend yourself against chargebacks or like you said, like
or people, quitting your program when you have a pay option, right? You gave them a payment plan. Those are the two biggest issues I see with my clients who are especially in the coaching space or kind of online education. And so we need to have really strong language about having and being able to do the ACH and do that and what the refund policy is. So, yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Very, very valuable. So we've got L, Layup Foundation,
So now we're on to
evaluate.
G. Yeah, G is get it in writing, meaning use contracts. So shocker, the lawyer loves contracts. And it's not because they're sexy and fun, right, for people to review and draft contracts, but it's because our human brains don't do a good job of remembering conversations. We're not robots. And so if we want to appreciate complex, and really, especially like, Dustin teaches, if you want to have good relationship marketing and preserve relationships, business relationships have to have a contract. And that way we can let the contract be the bad guy. It doesn't rely on our understandings or even our unsaid expectations of what we were going to do. And so these are critical, right? Having an operating agreement, if you have a business partner, that's like your business prenup. And you need to have a business prenup so you don't have ugly business divorces, right? Having client service agreements, if you offer client services, if you have vendor relationships, right? If you have helpers helping you, you need an independent contractor agreement. So, there's a variety of things you might need there, but having those good contracts, and that's why I sell, 40 plus templates in my shop, creative contracts, because all of these keep on coming up again and again. And I'm like, I want to be able to just have something that's plug and play and you follow the color code right. It's like paint by number, and you can reuse it again and again in your business. So that's contracts. And then
big gap in the Dustin world there. Guilty as charged again. So
it's okay.
Yeah.
It just means it's just more information, right? And that's all it means. We just know more than we did before. So the next I, right, in our legit framework is going to be identifying intellectual property. So, and this, like Dustin referred to, is going to be really critical if this is what makes us money, right? Is getting our amazing thoughts out of our head and then into something. It's into a book, an ebook, a course, a coaching methodology, a mastermind, or a variety of different offers up our ladder stack, right? And so the two tools that we use here mainly are copyright and trademark. So copyright is going to protect the creative guts of something. So it's going to protect the contents of a book, an ebook, an online course, a podcast, a YouTube channel, social media content, photos, illustrations. All of those things can be protected via copyright. And you get some automatic rights just by creating it, right? Just by sending it out into the world. And that's what we get under US law. But you get some really good enforcement rights, some better enforcement rights by actually registering the copyright. I actually have one of those right here because I have these come in all the time for my clients. And this is an additional step that you need to take. And I suggest it for a lot of my clients, but I find it's a really underutilized one, especially for course creators and curriculum creators, because you can package up your entire online course and register the copyright. And when you do that, it means if and when someone rips you off, you can do a DMCA takedown, get to the front of the line. You can get statutory damages. You can get attorney's fees. It means you have options to get people to do what you want. It turns your, hey, that's my thing, stop it, with your little stick, which is what you have without it. And then someone else goes, no, boo-boo, I don't think so. IP lawsuits are expensive, and people who do this a lot know this. It takes that little stick into a baseball bat where you're like, knock it off. And they're like, I'm so sorry, Kajabi and, Etsy and anywhere else, platforms will take you seriously and will listen and will turn off people's ads and will turn off their site and will delist from Google. And practically speaking, you get a lot more options. And this is especially important if we're dealing with overseas actors that honestly don't care about the reaches of American law and are like, we think that you're not going to come after us, and hire Chinese attorneys, which may or may not be true, right? We have to kind of get into some of the financial economics of pursuing our options. So that's copyright. And then trademark is going to protect our branding. So this is protecting the name, overall maybe name of your company, or your logo, or the name of your product or program or course or mastermind or event or retreat or whatnot, maybe your primary, your sub logo or branding or phrase that goes along with it. We can even protect, in a way, frameworks this way. You just have to be a little careful because technically the trademark office is like, we don't protect systems and methodologies. So you have to show that this is like in connection as like a shorthand for your branding. So there's a way we can do it, but we got to be strategic about it. But this is the way I've been able to help protect, especially for my online, curriculum creators, and be able to protect kind of their suite of things that make them them. What's their secret sauce, and what, Seth Godin calls it your remarkability. What's the one thing that people keep on thinking with you? That's what we protect. And that should be the first thing on your list. And then we kind of move down as your brands grow. And then that really opens up other doors of licensing, co-ventures, and other projects like that. But to have those deals set up, we really need to protect our own house first. We need to make sure that we're not building on ground that we don't own, right? We're kind of like digital squatters. We've built this thing, and then we look down and we're like, well, geez, I sure hope I own this land, right? I sure hope I can and put a big flag here and keep attracting people into my world and my empire. And you want to have that sense of confidence, right? And that's what trademark can get you. So love trademarks. And then, there's room for NDAs and contracts, and that kind of protects kind of trade secrets and the stuff in the middle. And then there are patents. That's mostly for, inventions. I don't do patent law, so I refer that out to other people. So I don't really speak a whole lot about that. But that is definitely an option if you are in the physical product space. A lot of people ask me, can I patent a business methodology or framework or something? Quick answer, no. Yeah. So there might be some other tools at my disposal, but patent likely isn't one of them. And then the last T and legit is troubleshooting. And this is really where it really kind of pays to be working with an advisor that can help you balance what should be first thing on my list. How do I make sure that I'm have the right legal protections for the exposure that my business is right now? Because some people can misplace. They can think that I find that some people and entrepreneurs are nervous Nellies, and they're extreme in thinking I need everything under contract and everyone needs to sign an NDA, and I can't talk about my business to anyone because they're going to rip me off or whatnot. And that's living in too much fear, right? And that can really hurt your chances of being able to iterate, of changing, of being able to get good market feedback, which we need to. At some point, you need to ship it. You need to start talking about it because you're not even sure if that name works yet. So, I tell people all the time, you're not ready for a trademark. I hope we see you again, or let's at least do a trademark search to make sure you have clearance, but you might not be ready yet because you don't know if you love that name, and we're not there. And on the opposite side of that risk spectrum are like my base jumpers. And these are my entrepreneurs who they reverb and they just go, and they're
like video people can see I'm hiding my face. Like, I think I'm going to be thrown into this category, but let's see.
And they're base jumping without a parachute, and they're like, event terms, liability insurance. What's that? IRS. But because of that, we get problems that are more expensive to solve, right? And we have more limited options. And not all of those lessons we need to learn the hard way for ourselves. Some of those we can learn from other people and colleagues and people being able to share about that. And it's hard because sometimes in business, because we're not used to being vulnerable and talking about, like, you won't hear from a lot of people that they got sued, right? Or they had to issue a refund, or that they got a employee or a contractor that was misclassified and they got sued by the California Department of Workforce. But I guarantee that anyone listening to this has people in their circle that all those things have happened to, right? And so sometimes it's helpful, and that's why it's a big mission of mine is to reality check. And I don't want people to live in a state of fear, but I want them to have a healthy balance of like, look, there are things out there, and the law doesn't care about your intent a lot of the times. The IRS doesn't care about that, or your state doesn't. And we get to be in this cool online business realm that doesn't have a lot of formal milestones and to tell you, hey, when you get to this point and you're making this much money, you need to have done this, right? 20, 30 years ago, if we were in a different type of business, at some point we'd have to like sit in someone's office and like show them our business plan, and they would like check over and be like, well, you have a contract, right? And you have an LLC and you've set this up. And we'd be like, well, yeah, I've done all that. We don't have to do that as online business owners. And that's great. And also it's a big challenge because it means we have to take on that role and really put on that CEO hat and be thinking about risk management as part of our opportunity to grow and make sure we've taken care of that stuff so that we can have a sustainable business that can keep on solving people's problems.